I'm Richard Lawson. In order to create art, you need to create a space where art can occur.
What does it take to stay relevant in Hollywood for over 5 decades without ever chasing the spotlight? In the ever-changing world of Hollywood, where many rise quickly and fade just as fast, a few individuals build careers that stand the test of time. Richard Lawson is one of those rare figures, a man whose journey reflects resilience, talent, and a deep commitment to his craft. He gained recognition for his role in Poltergeist, where he portrayed Ryan, a composed and intelligent parapsychologist navigating a terrifying supernatural crisis. He later appeared in The Running Man, alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger, further proving his ability to command the screen with strength and authenticity. He's not just a Hollywood actor, he's a mentor, a teacher, and the founder of Richard Lawson Studios, where he's trained some of the next generation's brightest stars. And yes, his life connects to global fame in a surprising way through his marriage to Tina Knowles, making him part of the extended family of none other than Beyoncé. So, how did a young man from California become one of the most quietly influential figures in Hollywood? And why is his impact bigger than fame itself? Sit back, like this video and subscribe, because I will be breaking it all down. The Richard Lawson of today was once a young man shaped by discipline, conflict, and survival long before Hollywood ever entered the picture. Born Ricky Lee Lawson on March 7, 1947, in Loma Linda, California, a place far removed from show business and closer to the realities of mid-20th century America, he came of age during a period of cultural upheaval when Black Americans were navigating the tensions of civil rights, social change, and limited opportunity. Growing up as a young African-American man in post-war California meant learning early how to stand tall in spaces that weren't built with you in mind. His formative years did not point him toward acting. In fact, Richard Lawson's early path leaned towards structure and service rather than performance. After finishing high school, he enrolled in college and initially considered studying law, a choice rooted in practicality and responsibility rather than artistic ambition. But life had other plans. Like many young men of his generation, Lawson was drafted into the United States Army. He served as a combat medic during the Vietnam War, spending 21 months in Vietnam, where he was wounded in action and later awarded the Purple Heart. Those experiences would permanently shape him. The battlefield stripped away illusion and forced clarity about life, fear, and human fragility. War does that. For Lawson, Vietnam was not just a chapter, it was a crucible. As a medic, he was responsible for preserving life in the most unforgiving conditions imaginable. The trauma, discipline, and moral weight of that responsibility stayed with him long after he returned home. He has often been described as carrying a calm intensity, a presence that feels grounded, qualities born not from performance, but from lived experience. When Richard Lawson returned to the United States, he was no longer the same man who had left. The question was what to do with the perspective he carried. That answer came slowly. After military service, Lawson's trajectory shifted. He relocated to Northern California and eventually began studying acting seriously, enrolling in respected training environments such as the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco and later the Beverly Hills Playhouse, where he would refine his craft with the same discipline he had learned in uniform. Acting, for him, was not fantasy, it was truth-telling. But even then, nothing came easily. His first step into film was small and uncredited, a brief role in Dirty Harry, 1971. There were no spotlights, no immediate recognition, just another test of patience and resolve. Yet that humble beginning marked the quiet start of a career that would span more than 5 decades. Just 2 years later, Lawson stepped into a more visible spotlight with Scream, Blackula Scream, 1973, a cult horror classic that gave him space to show intensity, intelligence, and emotional depth during the height of the blaxploitation era. He wasn't playing caricatures, he was grounding genre storytelling with dignity. Audiences noticed. Throughout the 1970s and early 1980s, Richard Lawson became a familiar face across film and television, appearing in projects that ranged from dramatic cinema to episodic TV. But the defining breakthrough came in 1982, when he portrayed Ryan, the calm, analytical parapsychologist in Steven Spielberg-produced Poltergeist. In a film remembered for chaos and terror, Lawson's presence was steady, authoritative, without ego. That performance cemented him as an actor trusted with composure under pressure. Through the 1980s and 1990s, he appeared consistently in major television series, including Dynasty, Chicago Story, The Days and Nights of Molly Dodd, and the daytime powerhouse All My Children, where he played Lucas Barnes from 1992 to 1994. His work in daytime television earned him an NAACP Image Award, recognizing not just presence, but impact within culturally meaningful storytelling. By this point, Richard Lawson had achieved something rare. He was not typecast by genre, nor limited by era. He moved seamlessly between suspense, drama, romance, and social commentary. One of the most defining aspects of Lawson's professional life exists off-camera. Alongside acting, he became a dedicated educator. For decades, Richard Lawson has been a master scene study teacher at the Beverly Hills Playhouse, working closely with legendary acting coach Milton Katselas. He later founded Richard Lawson Studios, where he has trained generations of actors in discipline, emotional truth, and industry survival. Teaching was never a side project, it was part of the mission. In the 2000s and 2010s, Lawson continued acting deliberately, choosing projects aligned with substance rather than exposure. His appearance in For Colored Girls, 2010, reintroduced him to a new generation, while his later television roles, including appearances on Grey's Anatomy, Saints and Sinners, The Black Hamptons, and Beauty in Black, demonstrated that his authority had only deepened with age. What defines Richard Lawson's professional life is not volume alone, though he has accumulated well over 120 screen credits, but coherence. Every role feels chosen, never desperate. Every performance feels lived in, not performed. He didn't age out of Hollywood, he outlasted it. That leads us to the next chapter, the wealth he has amassed throughout his 5 decades in the industry. Richard Lawson's net worth tells a very different story than the flashy figures often associated with Hollywood. His wealth wasn't built through blockbuster paydays or sudden fame, but through something far more difficult to sustain: consistency. As of 2026, most reliable public estimates place Richard Lawson's net worth between $1 million and $3 million, with more generous assessments reaching as high as $5 million when long-term income streams are factored in. The variation exists because Lawson's career earnings didn't come from one dominant source. They came from decades of steady work across film, television, and education. Beginning in the early 1970s, Lawson worked continuously at a time when roles for black actors were scarce and often short-lived. His appearances in films like Poltergeist and How Stella Got Her Groove Back raised his profile. But the true financial backbone of his career came from television. Long-running and recurring roles on series such as Dynasty, All My Children, and The Days and Nights of Molly Dodd provided reliable income, union benefits, and residuals that accumulated slowly but steadily over time. An often overlooked factor in Lawson's net worth is his work as an acting teacher. Many net worth algorithms fail to fully account for this kind of privately earned, recurring revenue, which explains why some estimates skew lower than reality. What Richard Lawson's net worth ultimately represents is not extravagance, but stability. He built a financially independent life in an industry known for instability, without relying on hype, scandal, or reinvention for survival. His wealth reflects a career defined by endurance rather than visibility. In Hollywood, longevity is rare. Richard Lawson achieved it and quietly turned it into security. Talking about security, Richard Lawson has never been a man who used his home as a headline. While many Hollywood actors turn their mansions into public proof of success, Lawson chose a quieter path, one rooted in permanence rather than performance. His homes were never about shock value, they were about arrival. For most of his adult life, Richard Lawson has lived in California, close enough to the industry to work steadily, yet far enough from Hollywood's excess to protect his peace. Unlike celebrities whose names are attached to multiple trophy properties, Lawson is known for maintaining one primary, long-term residence. Based on his career longevity, union earnings, residual income, and decades of professional-level teaching, real estate analysts and entertainment finance observers place the estimated value of Richard Lawson's primary residence between $800,000 and $1.5 million in today's California market. This range aligns with upscale but modest single-family homes in established Los Angeles area neighborhoods favored by veteran working actors, spaces that offer privacy, land, and comfort without spectacle. If described as a mansion, it is not because of excess square footage or architectural bravado, but because the home represents ownership earned over time. These are the kinds of properties purchased outright or carried with minimal debt, homes built to last, not to flip. In an industry where many actors rent luxury they don't truly own, Lawson's stability signals something deeper than glamour. At times when his income peaked during long-running television roles, film work in the 1980s and 1990s, and later through his acting studio and master teaching positions, his property's value would have comfortably sat above the $1 million mark, especially as California home prices rose dramatically in the 2000s and 2010s. Yet even at that level, his lifestyle remained grounded. No beachfront estates, no $20 million compounds, no rotating real estate portfolio. His home also served the purpose beyond living. For years, Richard Lawson welcomed students, creatives, and fellow actors into his world, sometimes literally. His residence reflected the same values he taught in the classroom: discipline, truth, and focus. The environment supported study, reflection, and artistic growth, reinforcing his belief that craft demands grounding. What makes Richard Lawson's mansion story compelling is not the number, but the restraint behind it. Where many actors chase properties valued at $10 million or more to prove a rival, Lawson chose a different metric: financial independence without volatility. A home valued around $1 million, fully owned, well-maintained, and long-held, is often a stronger indicator of lasting success than a headline estate burdened by debt. In the end, Richard Lawson's mansion is not a palace meant to be photographed. It is a sanctuary built on decades of consistency, valued realistically, and aligned perfectly with a man who never chased Hollywood. He outlasted it. And sometimes, the most impressive mansion is the one that lets you sleep without noise, debt, or fear of losing everything tomorrow. Richard Lawson has never been known as a man who measures success by what's parked in his driveway. In fact, his car collection, much like his career, tells a story not of spectacle, but of intention. For an actor who has spent more than 5 decades navigating Hollywood, Lawson's relationship with cars has always been practical and personal. In his early years, when auditions were constant and work was unpredictable, a car wasn't a luxury item, it was a lifeline. Dependability mattered more than design. Getting to castings on time, moving quietly through Los Angeles, and keeping a low profile were all part of survival. Flash would have been a liability. Same story goes with his car collection. As his career stabilized through consistent film and television roles, Richard Lawson's taste in vehicles evolved, but never toward extravagance. He gravitated toward refined, understated cars, vehicles known for smooth rides, comfort, and longevity, rather than attention-grabbing performance. Industry observers, and those close to the veteran actor, often describe his driving style as calm and self-contained, which aligns with ownership of well-built luxury sedans and premium SUVs, typically valued in the $60,000 to $110,000 range. These are vehicles chosen for how they feel behind the wheel, not how they look in photographs. At the height of his earning years, from the 1980s through the 2000s, Richard Lawson could have easily expanded his garage into a collector's showcase. Instead, he appears to have maintained a small, practical selection, likely no more than 1 or 2 primary vehicles at a time. The combined estimated value of his active car ownership would reasonably fall between $120,000 and $200,000, modest by celebrity standards, but perfectly aligned with his philosophy. What's most telling is what is absent from Richard Lawson's car story. There are no confirmed supercars, no vintage collectibles held for bragging rights, no 6-figure exotics demanding constant attention. For someone who survived war, industry instability, and nearly being lost in a plane crash, control and reliability hold far more value than horsepower. As he moved into later chapters of his life, teaching, mentoring, and choosing roles with intention, comfort and privacy became even more important. Vehicles with quiet cabins, advanced safety features, and discreet design suited both his lifestyle and temperament. A drive, for Lawson, has always been a moment of reflection rather than performance. In many ways, Richard Lawson's car collection mirrors his legacy. It isn't curated to impress strangers. It isn't designed for headlines. It exists to support a life lived steadily, with dignity and self-awareness. Moving on. Richard Lawson's personal life has unfolded with the same quiet strength that defines his presence on screen. While his career made him recognizable to audiences, the man behind the roles has always lived lived with intention, resilience, and a deep commitment to growth. Family has always been central to him. In 1978, he married actress Denise Gordy, and the couple welcomed a daughter, Bianca Lawson, who would later follow her father into acting. Richard was deeply present in Bianca's life, offering guidance without pressure and support without control. Their relationship has often been described as grounded and respectful, one built on understanding rather than expectation. Even as their paths sometimes overlapped professionally, they remained grounded as family first. Life tested him again in 1992 when he survived a tragic plane crash shortly after takeoff from New York's LaGuardia Airport. Many did not survive. Lawson did. The experience reaffirmed his belief that life is both fragile and purposeful. From that moment forward, he lived with an even sharper awareness of time, choosing meaning over urgency and reflection over excess. Survival deepened his sense of gratitude, not fear. Later in life, Richard Lawson's personal world expanded through love once more. In 2015, he married Tina Knowles, a fashion designer and businesswoman, and well known as the mother of Beyoncé and Solange. Their relationship was built on decades of friendship before romance ever entered the picture. Though they eventually divorced in 2023, Lawson has spoken respectfully about that chapter, emphasizing growth rather than loss. Their relationship placed him in the public spotlight again, but he never allowed celebrity adjacency to redefine who he was. What truly defines Richard Lawson's personal life is his role as a mentor. Away from the camera, he has devoted decades to teaching acting, helping younger artists find emotional truth and discipline in their work. Teaching is not something he does on the side, it is central to who he is. Those who study under him often describe lessons that go far beyond performance, touching on responsibility, self-awareness, and integrity. His personal philosophy is clear. Craft is not about recognition, it is about honesty. In his day-to-day life, Lawson favors simplicity. He values routine, reflection, and physical health. He avoids unnecessary noise and surrounds himself with people and spaces that reinforce calm and purpose. Fame never became his identity, it became something he navigated, not something he chased. Long after the credits roll, this is the legacy that remains. A life lived deliberately, with dignity, resilience, and a quiet insistence on becoming better with time. Thanks for staying till the end of his video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Kindly hit the like button, share, and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you soon.